Imagine being thrown into a pit of hungry lions, yet walking out alive the next morning. A powerful king sealed the stone himself, certain that Daniel would never survive. A powerful king sealed the stone himself, certain that Daniel would never survive. This is story of Daniel. Daniel sought God above all else in Persia. His courage and faith shone like a beacon. The courtyard buzzed with activity as guards drilled. Daniel remained calm amidst the movement. Daniel's heart spoke in silent prayer. His devotion radiated calm strength. Some watched with admiration, others with envy. Daniel remained steadfast, unaware of their schemes. The courtyard was alive with contrasts of faith and envy. Today, destiny and devotion intersected here. Daniel's wisdom impressed the king beyond measure. He was appointed over the entire province. The king admired Daniel's integrity and wisdom. His favor brought prosperity to the realm. Jealousy festered among the other officials. Whispers and schemes began in the shadowed halls. Daniel remained humble despite the accolades. His integrity shone even brighter to those around him. Daniel's favor revealed the darkness in others' hearts. Faith often attracts envy, even when unseen. The officials sought fault in Daniel, but found none. Their envy turned to cunning scheming. They convinced King Darius to issue a law he could not revoke. Defiance now meant the lion's den. Daniel's devotion made him a target. The trap was hidden yet deadly. Evil often hides behind legality. Their plan made Daniel's faith face the ultimate test. Even in peril, Daniel remained steadfast. He trusted God completely as the trap unfolded. Daniel turned to prayer, seeking wisdom from God. His heart was steadfast despite looming danger. His mind weighed the law of men against the law of God. Courage filled him to act faithfully. He opened the scroll, reading God's commands with devotion. Every word strengthened his resolve. Resolved to obey God, Daniel rose with courage. Faith would guide his steps against the law of men. Daniel's faith shone quietly in the sunrise. Every decision now rested in God's hands. Suddenly, the gods stormed in unannounced. Daniel's prayer was interrupted by looming danger. The law was enforced without mercy. Daniel faced the danger with unwavering faith. Even as danger approached, Daniel remained in prayer. Faith filled him with calm courage. The guards seized him despite his calm. Even in struggle, Daniel's faith remained unshaken. Daniel was taken away under the law's decree. His courage and trust in God never wavered. Bound yet unbroken, Daniel walked through the palace halls. Guards flanked him, their footsteps echoing like doom. Yet his heart remained steady in trust. Officials watched with grim satisfaction. They believed the faithful had finally fallen. But Daniel's faith made him taller than palace walls. Every step he took was a silent prayer. Soon he would face the lions. Yet hope walked beside him, stronger than fear. Lions stirred, their eyes glinting in shadow. Anger echoed through the cavern walls. Yet Daniel stepped forward without fear. Faith made him stronger than the threat below. He descended into the darkness, trusting completely in God. Tonight, heaven watched over the faithful. In the darkest place, hope still lived. King Darius could not sleep, his heart heavy with regret. The decree he signed now haunted him. Daniel, faithful as ever, was now in mortal danger. Every passing moment weighed on the king like lead. How could a law bind the hand of God? Fear gripped him, both human and divine. Night fell, stretching shadows across the throne room. Could Daniel's God truly protect him? In desperation, the king prayed, hoping beyond hope. Kneeling among lions, Daniel lifted his voice in prayer. Moonlight touched the stone, shadows surrounded him. The beasts prowled with immense power, yet something unseen held them back. Fear did not touch him. Peace wrapped around him. The lions, once instruments of danger, became silent witnesses. The night stretched long, but Daniel's courage never dimmed. In darkness, faith burned brighter than fear. Suddenly, a peace unlike any earthly calm filled the den. A divine presence surrounded Daniel. The lion's ferocity faded into stillness. Angels of God stood guard, unseen yet powerful. Divine protection filled the cavern. Daniel prayed with unwavering trust. Every shadow softened beneath heaven's power. In the heart of danger, faith conquered fear. The night became a testimony of God's faithfulness. At the first light of dawn, the king ran to the den. Hope and fear battled within his heart. The stone still stood, sealed by his own decree. Regret pressed heavily upon him. "Daniel, servant of the living God," he cried, "has your God been able to save you?" From the darkness came a calm and steady voice. Hope ignited in the king's heart. Daniel was alive, protected through the night. Faith had triumphed, and heaven had answered. The stone was lifted, and light poured into the darkness. All eyes searched for a sign of life. There he stood, unshaken, unharmed. Not a single claw had touched him. Relief overwhelmed the king's heart. The God of Daniel had proven mighty. They lifted him from the pit of death. No wound was found upon him. Faith had conquered fear. The morning became a testimony to the living God. The king rose before his kingdom with a changed heart. Power had witnessed a greater power. A decree was written for every nation and tongue. The name of Daniel's God would be honored. Daniel stood not in pride, but in gratitude. His faith had spoken louder than fear. Across the empire, hearts were stirred. The living God was proclaimed above all. Faith had reshaped a kingdom, and Daniel's story was far from over. The conspirators trembled before the king. Their envy and deceit had been laid bare. They were led to the pit. Their schemes turned against them. Envy and hatred could not stand. Their plots crumbled, and they faced the consequences. Daniel watched silently. God's justice had prevailed, vindicating the faithful. Peace returned to the kingdom. Faith and righteousness had been upheld. The king honored Daniel above all officials. His faith and integrity shone brighter than any crown. Though exalted, Daniel remained humble. Faith, not pride, guided his every step. The entire kingdom saw the power of faith. Righteousness was celebrated over envy. His wisdom guided the kingdom. Every decision reflected faith, integrity, and clarity. Daniel's influence spread far and wide. Faithful service brought prosperity and hope to all. As night fell, Daniel prayed with earnest heart. God's presence began to stir visions within him. A gentle light filled the room. The Spirit of God was about to reveal mysteries unseen. Visions of future kingdoms danced above the scroll. Daniel's heart raced with divine revelation. Fear and wonder intertwined within him. He knew God was revealing secrets of the ages. The night became a window to eternity. Daniel's heart embraced the visions, ready to serve faithfully. Visions of mighty kingdoms unfolded before Daniel. The rise and fall of nations were shown in divine light. Symbols of power and conflict moved across the vision. Daniel's heart sought understanding. Wars and conflicts unfolded in brilliance. Yet through chaos, God's hand was evident. Daniel pondered the visions. Each empire's rise and fall was guided by God's plan. Amid turmoil, a kingdom of peace shone brightly. God's ultimate plan offered hope and justice. Daniel poured the visions onto scrolls. Every word captured God's revelation faithfully. Symbols of kingdoms and divine mysteries glimmered on the scroll. Daniel's hand was guided by heaven. Every line of writing held the weight of eternity. Daniel's heart trembled with awe and responsibility. The chamber became a treasury of divine visions. Daniel's dedication brought light to the unseen. He reflected on what had been revealed. Faith and understanding guided every stroke of his pen. The king was troubled by dreams he could not understand. His heart sought wisdom beyond his own. Daniel entered with quiet confidence. He knew that God's wisdom would reveal the meaning. "O king," Daniel said, "the dream reveals the rise and fall of kingdoms. God gives wisdom to those who seek him." The king was amazed. Daniel's wisdom was not of men, but from God alone. A crisis threatened the kingdom. Daniel's wisdom was urgently sought to guide the king. "O king," Daniel advised, "we must act wisely and justly." His words brought clarity and hope. Daniel's guidance was followed meticulously. The kingdom moved with unity and purpose. The danger was averted. Wisdom guided by faith had saved the kingdom. Though honored and relied upon, Daniel remained humble. Faith, not glory, guided his heart. The king's messages traveled far and wide. Daniel's wisdom began shaping every province. Leaders listened carefully to the decree. Justice and integrity were now the kingdom's foundation. Peace brought prosperity to the land. The people flourished under wise and faithful leadership. Daniel's counsel reached beyond the palace walls. His faith shaped the future of many. As the sun set over the kingdom, peace reigned. Faith had transformed a nation. Daniel humbled himself before God. He carried the burden of his people in prayer. "O Lord," he cried, "we have sinned and turned away." His voice trembled with repentance. He remembered the promise of restoration. Hope flickered within sorrow. He pleaded not for himself, but for his nation. Mercy was his only request. As Daniel prayed, a radiant light pierced the darkness. Heaven responded to his plea. A messenger from heaven stood before him. Glory and power radiated from the divine presence. Overcome with reverence, Daniel bowed. The weight of heaven's message filled the room. "Do not fear, Daniel," the messenger said. "You are greatly loved in heaven." The answer to Daniel's prayer had arrived. A revelation of future hope was about to unfold. The angel began revealing heaven's message. Secrets of the future unfolded before Daniel. Kingdoms would rise and kingdoms would fall, yet every moment moved under God's authority. Daniel trembled at the greatness of the vision. History itself was unfolding before his eyes. But beyond the kingdoms of men, another kingdom would come, a kingdom of justice, peace, and everlasting light. Daniel faithfully recorded the vision. Heaven's message would guide generations to come. A final vision filled the heavens with light, a kingdom that would never fall. Daniel continued to serve faithfully, guided by the wisdom God had given. For the kingdoms of this world may pass away, but God's kingdom will stand forever.